Okay, so after I impressed myself with this new way of choosing colors from a color cloud, I thought about another situation which happens where, look, for example, I will come and I will turn off alpha lock. In fact, I'll put this stuff on a new layer just in case I need to move things around. I will come back up to my general, my hard blocker inner brush. But supposing I have this color here, and I put that down there. And I want a series of tones that go from that to my principal highlight, which is up there. Well, those are the two colors. But I want a series of steps, not just one continuous tone, because look, one thing I can do is come to my smudge tool and make it bigger and blur this area. But that still leaves me with a situation where I've got my principal skin tone there. Then I need to find something a bit lighter there. Then something a bit lighter there, then something a bit lighter than my lightest tone there. That can be a bit tedious, and sometimes it can be difficult to find some good in-between tones where you don't get a sudden jump from, say, the darkest tone to the next lightest tone, which is bigger than the jump to the next tone after that. If that makes any sense, I hope it does. Right, so come to general, hard block it inner. Get rid of those. Instead, I will come to my principal skin tone again, and I'll make a nice big area here. Oh, come on. The whole point of this brush is that you can drop color floods into it and you don't get those little feathery edges. Okay, so that's my skin tone. It's nice and big for now because all I want to do is come to my utility brushes. At the bottom I have Color Tweener 1 and Color Tweener 2. I will come to Color Tweener 2. And at the moment I'm still set to my main flesh tone. Let's come to that highlight flesh tone which I was talking about before. My brush size is set to 65%. Okay, I'll go with that. That seems about the right size. My opacity on 100%. Let's zoom in. Come here and just tap lightly once. What this brush is giving you is whatever active color you've got, but stamped down a different series of transparencies. If I come in closer, look at the inner circle. The bit on the right is completely transparent, so I didn't stamp down any color there. That is my original flesh tone. The small semicircle on the left is my highlight flesh tone stamped down at 100%, but the bits in between are, roughly speaking, 20%, 40%, 60%, 80%. So now if I want those color tones, let's come back, let's come to my recents. Hard block it inner, my flesh tone, my little bit lighter flesh tone, my next bit lighter flesh tone, my really quite light indeed flesh tone, and my almost the same as my highlight. In fact, because I'm going from mid-tone to completely light tone, you may not see any difference there, but you do in other areas. There's my transition of colours. It takes a lot of the drudgery and the guesswork out of choosing a range of colours that go from one area to another. Let's try that again because we had so much fun. Let's come down to utility brushes. Let's come to Color Tweener 1, which instead of giving you those 4 gradations around the outside, let's choose something much stronger there. This gives you 8 different gradations, going from the flesh tone to that deep red tone there. So now I will just do what I did before. Hard block it inner, flesh tone, through to that deeper brown, more sienna-y type color I chose. And if I zoom in on that, yeah, you can see a nice gradual tone. It's a real time saver. Here's one other area where I think it works quite nicely. If I come to my eraser, not hard build-up, and let's just erase this, which was a bit bigger than I needed. Supposing I come to my palettes and let's choose a kind of a green color, which you might use to do some trees with. Sap green. That's a color that's been mixed together, but it's to give you a ready kind of greenish color. Let's do that. Because a very common thing when people are painting landscapes is that as objects recede into the distance, they start to take on more and more the color of the horizon. And this has been a preoccupation with painters for centuries, of how to get that effect of the colors of the landscape gradually fading towards the horizon. Well, As it happens, a lot of manufacturers produce hues to give you that kind of effect where you mix the horizon color that you've bought with the color that you've mixed on your palette, and as you mix more and more, you're getting more and more the colors of the horizon and the sense of colors fading as they go into the distance, like they do in real life. Well, look here, DC Pigments 3. If you come down to the bottom, oh, look at this. There's a whole load of different values and colors which manufacturers make for this whole fading towards the horizon effect. And it is going to depend on where you find yourself in the world. It's going to depend on the time of day and the time of year. These days, air pollution. But I've got a selection of horizons to get you started. Let's come to horizon 1. My brush. Let's try color Tweener 2. Quick tap down once. In case you find that a bit strong, you always have the option as well as just dropping the opacity by a little bit, and that gives you a much more subtle effect. In fact, that's a bit too subtle. Let's split the difference. There's one horizon. Let's try another one because we're having fun. Let's try horizon light. Let's give that a try. Or what about horizon grey, because I live in Britain and we have had so much rain. Now, when you look at that, you're looking at a graphic symbol that's giving us some different shades of green going towards, hopefully, horizon colors. So it's a bit difficult to visualize. But if I come to my hard blocker inner color, and let's try, there you go. As I start to go towards the horizon, because things tend to go up as they go towards the horizon, just ask the Byzantine painters. Now that may give you a clear idea of the effect. It's hard to see when you're zoomed in like this and you've got these little rather clinical looking circles, but they're clinical for a reason. They're to give you precise color values. But when you look at something like that, maybe you can get the idea of these would be good colors for, say, a forest or a lawn, which is gradually fading off into the distance. So again, that whole headache that you get where you're trying to get one range of colors to another, and in particular, if you're doing landscape, these two little color tweeners at the bottom, they can really help you.